I want to tell you about an easy to grow riparian plant, and no, it's not pothos. It's called Hemigraphis, also known as waffle plant. Originally from Indonesia, it is a popular tropical houseplant that is available in different varieties, most of which are some shade of purple and dark green. This is a terrestrial plant, but it can be adapted to grow hydroponically in a fish tank. It is even sold as a riparian or emergent plant by some aquarium stores for this purpose, and it's also popular for use in terrariums and other glass enclosures. Hemigraphis is a pretty fast grower under medium to high light with enough nutrients, and is considered a non-toxic plant to pets and humans, and it can help remove excess nutrients from the water. Let me show you 3 different varieties of Hemigraphis that I like to grow out of my tanks, some ways on how to prepare them, get them started growing hydroponically out of a fish tank, and later we're going to go over some critically important hacks that can improve your success with Hemigraphis and other hydroponic plants growing out of your fish tank. The first variety is purple waffle plant. It is sold under a few different species names like Exotica, Alternata, and Colorata, and there are some variations within this one variety. It has a dark green on top of the leaf and typically a purple underside, and has a crinkled or waffle-like texture, which is where it gets the name. It can get up to 12 inches high, but it does tend to fall over and start hanging down, but that is its natural growth habit even under sufficient lighting. Trimming it regularly can help it stay more upright and branch out with thicker growth, but I find it will inevitably tend toward a hanging growth habit. The second is a variegated or tricolor variety called Snow White, and is much brighter in color, with white or light pink with green on top of its leaves and a pinkish purple underside. It is a great choice for adding these bright colors to a riparian setup. It doesn't seem to grow as vigorously as the purple waffle plant. This tends to be a common trait though amongst some variegated plants, but it is still a healthy, beautiful addition. It just grows a little bit slower, at least for me, but it does tend to stay more upright, and it gets about 6 to 8 inches tall. The third Hemigraphis is called Dragon's Tongue, and it really stands out from the rest because it has long, slender, and almost serrated leaves. It has similar coloring to the purple waffle plant with an almost grass-like appearance. Keeping it trimmed will keep it short and bushy. We can get these Hemigraphis started 2 different ways. The first way is by taking a potted plant growing in a potting soil mixture and thoroughly wash all of the potting mix off of the roots and rinse the leaves to remove chemical residues like fungicide or pesticides that may have been used by the grower. Now, after rinsing the plant thoroughly, we can place it with its roots freely in the water, or we can set it in a planter with a hydroponic media like leca or lava rock or gravel, or even use an aqua soil like fluval stratum. In this 10-gallon tank, I set the Hemigraphis with the roots growing freely in the water, and they have now grown down into the substrate of the tank. Also, I'm growing this Snow White variety in a planter with a 50-50 mixture of fluval stratum and baked clay kitty litter. So there are some options for how to plant Hemigraphis in your tank. The second way to get Hemigraphis started is by taking a cutting and rooting it in the water, which is quite easy for this plant. Whenever I need to trim my Hemigraphis, I take the cuttings and set them in other tanks, and in several days they begin growing roots of their own. Now let me give you a few hacks that can improve your success with Hemigraphis and other plants growing out of your tank. When adapting terrestrial plants to hydroponic life, they will likely go through some stress. Leaves may begin to wilt. The roots will begin dying off and be replaced by new water-adapted roots. But this is a normal part of the process and can last a few weeks, sometimes several weeks, depending on the plant. So if you are experiencing these signs with the plant that you are trying to get adapted, just be patient. They will likely recover from this. But it is possible to sometimes lose plants during this adaptation phase if the plant is not healthy to begin with, or if the conditions in your tank just aren't right. And sometimes this even still happens to me, even with my experience. So if you are experiencing plant that is obviously dying, if it's rotting or negatively impacting your water quality, then pull that plant out. Now, that being said, you may consider a quarantine tank. Just like when we get new aquarium plants or livestock and we quarantine them for a specific period of time, you can do this with the riparian plants or hydroponic plants, just to make sure they are past that stress of the adaptation phase. So you can use a separate tank or vase or a pail or bucket of some kind, just to make sure they're past that stress before introducing them to your tank. Now, I have to admit, this isn't something that I always do. Most of the time, I just set the plant directly in the tank that I want. But it can be a very good practice, especially if you're starting with a plant that you've never tried before, or you have concerns or apprehensions about putting it directly in your tank to begin with. Just quarantine it for a while, get it past that phase, make sure it's healthy, and then introduce it to your tank. Now, I did recently quarantine a ginseng ficus tree just in a bucket of shallow aquarium water, because it was a new plant that I had not tried before, and I was a little skeptical. But after a few weeks, it did adapt quite well. It started growing new leaves and new water-adapted roots, and I set it in one of my greenhouse tanks, and it has been growing in this tank for about a month now. Earlier we talked about propagating by cuttings. Now, what I really like about this method is that it gives you a backup plan. What I mean is you're taking cuttings from the plant instead of committing the entire plant to the adaptation process. So if for whatever reason the cuttings don't make it, you still have that original plant that you bought, and you can try doing cuttings again another time. Now, the catch is, if you follow this method, you can end up becoming a plant collector. There will always be new plants that you want to try out, and your collection grows, and then you end up with a botanical hoard of interests and oddities. And then you realize one day that what began as a hobby has now become your lifestyle. And then you start a YouTube channel to help support this lifestyle and to justify the expense of buying more plants and more fish tanks, because it leads to creative inspiration for more projects. And then you can make even more videos and hopefully inspire enough people to join you on this fantastic journey of wonder and discovery.
Babe.
What?
Babe.
Hey, I'm in the middle of shooting a video here.
Can we get that project taken care of out there? I've got some friends coming over. Can you please clean up?
Clean up what? What are you talking about?
Your video stuff and fish tank things are everywhere.
And then you realize your greatest project has yet to begin, inspiring your spouse to join the cause. Well, thank you for watching. Hopefully you found this video helpful today, and I'll see you next time.
Can you get all your crap out of the family room? I've got friends coming over. Hey babe, can you get that little project cleaned up out there? I have some friends coming over. Can we get that taken care of, please? Thank you.
Journey of wonder and discovery.
Hey, babe.
What? Hey, I'm in the middle of a video
I
here.
need you to clean up your crap.
Can you get your crap?
Jeez, you're doing another video.
Yes. All right, go ahead.